Breaking tonight on the heels of the dramatic controversy over Dr. Carson's remarks about Muslims, we are also now seeing new fallout for Donald Trump. The Republican presidential frontrunner has now offered a series of explanations for what happened at a town hall meeting last Thursday when he failed to challenge a man who questioned President Obama's faith and his citizenship.
We have a problem in this country. It's called Muslims. We know our current president is one. Right. You know he's not even an American.
We need this
birth
question.
certificate, man. But anyway, we have training camps growing where they want to kill us. That's my question. When can we get rid of it?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
Rich Lowry is here. He's editor of National Review, along with Roger Stone, who is Trump's former political advisor. But first, Trace Gallagher is live in our West Coast newsroom with the complete story. Trace?
Megan, hours after the controversial question was asked at that town hall meeting in Rochester, the Trump campaign claimed that Donald Trump never heard the accusation that President Obama was a Muslim, saying all he heard was a question about training camps and that it's the media who wants to make this issue about Obama. 2 days later, the "I couldn't hear it" excuse went silent, replaced by a few different arguments, beginning with the First Amendment. Trump posting on Twitter, quote, "If I would have challenged that man, the media would have accused me of interfering with that man's right of free speech, a no-win situation." And then Trump said he's not morally obligated to defend the president, followed by this. Watch.
Then I said, if somebody made nasty statements or controversial statements about me to the president, do you think he would come to my rescue? I say, no chance, no chance.
Trump says it's the first time in his life he's caused controversy by not saying anything. But on ABC's This Week, he said this. Watch.
But I don't talk about other people's faith. It's not appropriate for me to talk about somebody else's faith.
Unless, of course, he's talking about the president's birth certificate. Listen.
He may have one, but there's something on that person, maybe religion, maybe it says he's a Muslim. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want that, or he may not have one. But I will tell you this. If he wasn't born in this country, it's one of the great scams of all time.
When asked whether he'd be comfortable with a Muslim president, Trump said, quote, "Some people have said it already happened," frankly. Megan.
Trace, thank you. Joining me now, Rich Lowry and Roger Stone. Great to have you both here. All right, Rich, so, you know, obviously Trump's explanations for this have been a little inconsistent. You know, I didn't hear him, but then I did hear him, but I didn't think it was appropriate to challenge him because of free speech and so on and so forth. But is this a net negative for him or a net positive for him? Some people have said this is a nice distraction from the press that had been out there, which was that he had a lackluster debate performance.
Right. In the short term, it may help him because the model for Trump here, he performs extremely poorly in the debates. Then immediately there's some other controversy that distracts attention from his performance. That's what happened the first time. That's what's happening the second time here. And then a lot of Trump supporters, frankly, for some understandable reasons, get their backs up when he's attacked by the press. But I'd have a lot more respect for this guy if he actually stood by things he said instead of insulting our intelligence. This is at the level of saying, oh, I insulted Carly's face, but I really was talking about a persona. He didn't hear the question. He clearly heard the question and reacted to it at the time. And the idea that you violate someone's First Amendment rights by disagreeing with them at a town hall, this is a guy who had a journalist removed by force briefly from one of his press conferences. So he's not shy about disagreeing with people and expressing his disapproval of what they say or their conduct. That's all. It's just ridiculous.
What do you think is really going on here?
You know, the sad fact is that there's a very substantial number of Americans and an even greater number of Republicans who wonder about whether the president is a Muslim. I think this is because of his policies, which are clearly soft on radical Islam. You think 3 years ago when Trump raised the birther question, people were aghast. By the way, he zoomed to the #1 position in the polls, leading Mitt Romney at that time, based, I think, solely on suspicions about that issue. So those who think that Trump will be damaged by this or that Dr. Carson will be damaged by this, I think will be surprised. There is a constituency for this within the Republican Party, which nobody wants to talk about, but which is very definitely there.
Go ahead, Rich.
Well, look, and we've had Democratic presidents who've been soft on radical Islam for decades. Jimmy Carter teaches Sunday school every Sunday and was incredibly weak on radical Islam. Bill Clinton famously carried that thick Bible to church a lot of Sundays, incredibly weak on radical Islam. So it's possible to be wrong in foreign policy and wrong on a whole host of other issues and not respect religious liberty and still be a Christian. And some of us who've opposed Obama for years, when Trump was still out there praising Hillary Clinton, we thought it was very important, and it was a window into Obama's worldview, what Jeremiah Wright said. And it's very simple. Jeremiah Wright was his pastor, not his imam.
All right, let me ask you this, because obviously Trump has, whether intentionally or not, changed the subject from the debate to what he has said about Muslims or didn't say about Muslims. The question now, Roger, is whether you think the media, the mainstream media in particular, is running with this and bashing Trump and, for that matter, Carson with it without any context. And by that I mean referencing the fact that one of the main people to first pour fuel on the whole birther controversy was Hillary Clinton. And she came out on Friday and was disgusted with what Donald Trump. She was disgusted. And yet, in the interview with 60 Minutes back in 2008, which the New York Times called the sleaziest moment of the campaign, she said this. Listen.
You don't believe that Senator Obama's a Muslim?
Of course not. I mean, that's, that there is no basis for that. I take him on the basis of what he says, and there isn't any reason to doubt that.
And you said you take Senator Obama at his word that he's not a Muslim. You don't believe that he's a Muslim?
No, why would I? There's no, no, there is nothing to base that on, as far as I know.
Roger?
So, Trump is accused of trying to have it both ways by not slapping the guy down or responding, by saying nothing. But Hillary Clinton, you just heard her try to have it both ways. The truth is, Jimmy Carter's middle name was not Hussein. A very substantial number of people wonder, because of the policies of this administration, about whether the president is a Muslim.
They may wonder, but should a presidential candidate like Trump be saying that, or at least condoning it with his silence?
I don't think he commented either way. Look, this is a flap.
Well, what about his comment that we may? Some people believe we already have a Muslim in the White House.
When Trump loses the control of the narrative in this race, and it gets off, whether it's the Hewitt interview or this flap, when you get away from issues, you have these kind of distractions. Presidential politics is supposed to be about big, sweeping issues. The sooner Trump can get back to an issue agenda and flesh out how he's going to make America great, the better off his campaign will be.
Get back to an issues agenda? When has he had an
Did you miss his
agenda?
immigration proposal? It was very specific, and frankly, it dominated the dialogue.
It was not extremely specific, but at least he did write down some policies on immigration. He hasn't done anything else, and his answer on this Muslim question was typical of Trump. One, he spoke like an 8th grader. I hear bad things are happening. Oh, that's so sophisticated. And he just promised we're going to have a great policy to
You're right,
address
he's not an Ivy
Leaguer.
You're absolutely right about that. He's not an elite.
We're going to have a great policy. And he never tells us what it actually is.
Right.
And he's scheduled to give us an economic proposal at the end of the month. Let's see what it looks like, Rich.
All right. Great to see you both. Great to see you both. Thank you for being here. Well, when Governor Mike Huckabee saw the guest list for the Pope's visit to the White House, he called it a, quote, classless decision by, quote, the most anti-Christian administration in history. Governor Mike Huckabee and Governor Chris Christie, both just ahead on the Pope's visit to America and the White House. And the breaking news on Scott Walker, we'll ask them about that, as well as the new polls on the 2016 field. Plus, we will have a dramatic new twist for you in the story of that 14-year-old student who brought a mysterious device to school. He said it was a clock that he built from scratch. He was lauded by many as a hero. Wait until you see what one engineer is now saying in a new twist. And then the ladies on The View have made a lot of controversial statements over the years, but tonight, see what they've now done that has advertisers abandoning the show. Stay with us.